Don't blame him. Okay. So we're actually going to start our first game with the French. I haven't seen e5 in many hundreds of rating points, I want to say. It's been a while. But we're here at 1900, seeing the French advanced. I'm going to stick with what I know. And wow, interesting. F4. Huh. So I wonder what happens if I take. Because normally, if our opponent here is allowing us to take without the pawn on c3, that's a good thing. Good thing for us. Huh. Should we go the greedy route? I will go the ultra greedy route here. I don't mind. I'll go bishop c5. I'll defend this with my life. a5, a4, because knight d2, knight here is surely happening. Stopping knight b3. And you can go here, but I'm gonna go a3, and now your knight can't use that square. Aha. Let's make sure to get the rest of our pieces developed. Knight here. Guard that crucial f5 square. Also bishop into c3. That's gonna be my plan, guys. Once the bishop gets here, attack the rook. Rook moves, knight b4. Knight takes a2. You see how that just can't be defended? Not a bad plan, eh? Not a bad plan, if I do say so myself. We're inserting the bishop onto the dark squares. Okay, here comes f5. Guess what? This is what desperation looks like. f5, right? I think the move h5, which is pretty much the move I've told you guys to look out for against this. Like, whenever you see g4, the move h5 should be, at the very least, the first move you think of. It might not be what you end up playing, it should be the first move that you think of. And I don't see this as being any different here. We're going to play h5. The reason why h5 is so nice, if they play g5, we play g6. And then we don't have to worry about a single thing. And how else do they react? If they take, we can often just take back with the rook and then play g6. And you see how we're totally controlling the f5 square. If he doesn't have f5, he doesn't have any breaks. So we're going to play h5. We'll see what happens. If he goes f5 and we take here, I mean, I don't know what to say. It looks like it's just working for us. All right, he goes here. We will take. Pawn here looks like it can simply be captured. So he's going to take with the queen, and you better believe that he's looking at this move. So does anyone have a clue what move we're going to do here? g6. And now he doesn't have f5. I mean, there's no h5. Essentially, we're completely fine now. We're going to continue over here, hit the rook. Remember our plan of knight b4? Oh, I still like it. I still like it. Meanwhile, over here, knight f5, completely secure. Knight takes a2. Knight takes a2, move the knight and push the pawn is a surprisingly effective plan. I know it doesn't look like much, but oh yeah. Oh yeah. This knight holds things together decently here. So we know we're about to win on this side of the board. That's clear. Completely winning. So now it's more about surviving on the rest of the board. And unless sacrifices happen, I don't really have anything to worry about. So he takes here, which we expect, right? He has to go a little crazy because I don't know what else. Yeah, I don't know what else he's gonna do. I'm thinking if pawn takes, if knight takes on e6, simply take and queen d7 looks good, I would say. Yeah, I mean, that looks pretty reliable. So knight takes, I actually think is great as well. I don't even know what move he's gonna do after that, but I'm really liking pawn takes. I'm seeing knight e6, and I'm not initially that scared. Not only is queen d7 perhaps a move, but I think just simply takes. Takes, queen takes, and I have two things I can do. The first one is rook a6. That will just force the queen back to g4. The other one, which I like more, is queen d7. That forces queen f6, right? And then I feel like we just bring our queen h3. Like, how are we not how are we not the ones that are attacking? Don't forget, I'm still completely winning on this side of the board. Queen b6 loses the queen to rook a6, it looks like. So yeah, attacking my rook. I'll play this move, which hits white's rook with essentially a checkmate. I'm also eyeballing the h2 pawn. I know the knight's there, but keeping a watchful eye. And okay, he just didn't even do anything. Didn't even do anything. I was gonna say rook a6 is gonna be my next move to hit the queen. Queen takes here, knight g1. A rook is being hit. I mean, we can play rook f8 there. So many moves. I'm wondering whether to throw in rook a6 here, but I can't think of any particular reason why we'd need to. Check. Save our rook. If he plays queen here, he loses his queen. Funny enough. To rook a6. He might have a bishop g5 move. But luckily, I'm going to be up so much material. It just doesn't really matter. Knight takes, and I think we're just winning from there. Queen b6 makes sense. We're up a lot of material right now, like a lot. Take. Depending on what move he does, I mean, bishop g5 looks normal. If we take the rook, then queen e6 would lead to mate. So we'll bring our queen back here. If he didn't play this move, played almost any other move, then knight g3 and rook h8 would have been checkmate. But there he had rook. He had, there he had bishop h4. So. But if he chose a different move, then that would have worked. Sadly, no. Now rook f7. I'm guessing. I just want to trade the queens, right? I'm a simple guy. And the best trade of queens is a queen for a rook. Queen c5 there. I don't think it helped him. b6 actually would have trapped the queen, so. Bishop g3 will be mate, but only if he moves his knight. I need you to move your knight so that I can mate you. We're taking everything he owns. Not quite mating him yet. I want the final position to be me with everything and him with nothing. Good game. Good game. I took the greedy approach to this French. I said, look, if you're not going to take my pawn back, fine, I'll defend it. And most importantly, I'll play a5. Now, a5, I admit, is an advanced move. I don't even know if it's the best move, but it's a move that I wouldn't expect everyone to just play. You only play a5 if you kind of know what white's up to. White generally goes knight here, maybe bishop to f2, a3, and just tries to take this pawn back slowly and says, look, your pieces suck. There's nothing you can do about stopping me. Because I'm familiar with that, I played a5 because after this I play a4, and guess what? He can't go knight b3. So I'm just ruining his only plan, essentially. So he goes here, which is a bad move, I think, because now I play a3. He pretty much has to commit to some big attack here because he's getting killed in the center. He's down a pawn. He's getting killed on the queen side. And yeah, at this point, bishop c3 is happening. We're all shored up over here. And I don't know what to recommend for him. Okay, this bishop g6 stuff just doesn't work. Desperation. So he tried, but essentially, I've always made this recommendation. If you're playing the French and your opponent ever lets you play, like if you're playing against the French advanced and your opponent ever lets you play pawn takes pawn and they can't recapture with a pawn, do it. Just do it, do it, do it. It'll always work out. It takes a pretty strong player to be able to allow this and still get a good position. I'm not sure if we've had a 2000, guys. This may be our first 2000. What French is he gonna go for? All right, does anyone remember our line that we've been playing? We start with bishop here. Okay, he didn't play e5, so we're not really playing a main line here. Let's play knight e7. That way we can play this way. Only difference here is usually the bishop is on that square. So after a3, we can either bring it back or take. Kind of up to us. But now this is more like the French exchange. While I can take this and play knight takes on d4, I'm probably a lot more interested in this. I don't like the idea of giving up my bishop. My opponent's already castled. I'm not. I have to be careful. Takes, guards the pawn, gives him the two bishops, so I'm probably going to do this. Knight b5 I'm more okay with. Remember, I don't really mind knight for bishop in this line because I'm trying to trade these. And if this knight trades for my bishop and that bishop trades for that, what's going to happen, he's going to be left with a dark square bishop and these pawns. That's what we want. It's essentially what we're trying to get. f6 could be a good move. Start with this. Ah, he's gonna unpin himself. Okay, remember, we're not against that, so it's probably why I haven't put a great deal of time into... I'll castle kingside this time. I don't mind castling that way, but let's showcase kingside castling, because it's just as good and a little more, I guess, a little more controlled. Okay, I think he wants to go there. I'm going to probably move back. Get out of the way of that. Rook e8, perhaps next. Ooh, this looks like a small invitation for me to play that move. So let's accept kindly. Ooh, we love that exchange. Our knight is gonna reach the d5 square. See how this pawn is so instrumental in dominating the knight. If I can play bishop takes knight, I absolutely will. It wasn't a very good move last turn because he would just save his bishop, and then what am I doing? So I haven't really had a choice here, but definitely get this knight in. b5 always takes care of that pawn. And slide this over. If I play this, yeah, I think he actually wants to take me. So what I'm gonna do here is I'm gonna play bishop here, make a threat of bishop d3. Okay, he can react to it, but he has to react to it by saving this rook. How does he do that? If he plays rook e2, he's walking into it. There's no rook e3, there's no rook e4, rook e5, rook e6. So he'd have to move his rook away, or he'd have to play this weird move. And we got him to move the rook away, so small victory. Small victory. Why not bishop d3 anyway? I'm just not sure that the bishop does much from that square, but it wouldn't be a bad move. In fact, maybe it's a great move, but I don't think it does much there. Okay, so he's planning to do this, which makes me think queen here to stop that. Start with that. Aha. So bishop h5, unfortunately he still does that. Queen e2 though, rook e1. Yeah, we're not, I mean our knight's fantastic, but we're not doing much in that variation. Here, rook e1, queen somewhere. That could be good. Queen f7, for example. Because he can go here, we'll move our queen, and where's the knight gonna go? It's probably gotta move again. Here, if knight there, I'm definitely gonna take it. I think king g7 makes sense. Even h5. Getting that off that square, so now my knight can move. Kind of tough because we don't really want to trade. We'll go here. We don't love it. Ooh, I'm sensing a speedster here. Our position is still a lot better. Even though we've traded, I maintain some hope. For that exact reason. For that precise reason. King f2, it's kind of tough to say which one is correct, but he doesn't have that move. Yeah, you never... if it's opposite bishops plus knights... Oh, that's an even worse move. Yikes. That really went downhill for him. All of a sudden, he's going to lose an endgame. I don't think he could have played it worse. I like to push all these pawns up the board. Just to kind of eliminate the chance of a stalemate. Or just sometimes you're like chasing the king around a pawn and you're trying to pre-move. Just a weird feeling. But once all your pawns are out of the way, it's just an open board and it's very easy to do something like a ladder checkmate. Why no stutter step? We didn't need it. If the second last queen move is the queen that's closer to the king, then you never need to do a stutter step. Game abandoned. Uh-oh. Poor individual. So, even though it actually looked kind of even, Black was ahead for most of this game. One key principle is like, look, I don't mind playing this, but bottom line is, if a knight trades for our bishop, even though this is our good bishop, and this is a weird concept, even though it's our good bishop, I don't mind that trade, because this bishop exchanging for that bishop is so likely in this game, like this, that what ends up happening is white ends up with a bad dark square bishop. And so this whole game, I'm keeping that in my mind. He ends up giving away the bishop for a knight, which is maybe even worse. But the point is he's left with that dark square bishop. And black is definitely better, but I don't have any decisive edge. That's for sure. Right, so we're better here, but we're not, it's not that much better. Got two bishops on the open board. All right, playing e6 here, and we do get e4, so another French. Another French, a3, ah yes. The most popular French. So, I guess this is c5, b4. Is this what the kids are doing these days? These kind of strange French lines. c5, b4, and like some sort of wing gambit. I wonder if there's anything specifically good against the wing gambit. What happens if we go for this pawn? What happens if we ignore this move to try to make that look silly and then go for this? Maybe even queen takes. We need to try to battle this a3 nonsense. So we're gonna try to make moves that, you know, if I don't have a c-pawn there, then maybe a3, b4 just doesn't make a lot of sense, so. Gotta be takes, I guess. How to prosecute. Think of marbles. How would we do it in marbles? Start with this. Trying to avoid the A3 theory. We're playing a Canadian here. Always gotta watch out for those Canadian sidelines. Well, here, queen b6. Anything for me? Well, let's try that. I like c5, now that the bishop's over here, you know. I definitely don't think b4 matters that much anymore. Queen c7, at least it makes way for. Queen b6 as well. I kind of prefer queen b6 because queen c7, I think he wants to play knight here anyway. It's kind of part of his next idea. So we'll see. Ooh, this will be fun. This will be fun. Because now I have the option to just take things. Shall I do the unthinkable? I'll let him have all the fun, guys. I'll let him have all the fun. I hate it already. I'll take everything. Oh god, I'm not even gonna look. Can't even look at myself after doing this. I'm just taking everything in sight. I know, it is shameful. Truly is. Check. I think we check, right? I mean, why not? So shameful. Oh, it's... Don't even look at me, guys. Don't even look at me. Can't take the shame. I'm just... If you're gonna give me something, I'm gonna take it at this point. I'm committed. Oh. Not 94. Not 94. Knight e4. How bad is it really? How bad is it really? Is it completely lost? Tell me it's not. Oh, I don't even want to look. Atrocious. Disgusting. It's disgusting. Draw, please. Get me out of here. I beg you. I beg you. I knew he wouldn't do it, Quiso. I knew he wouldn't take it. I think there was rook d6 winning there. I couldn't allow it. He's really taking his time with this move. Why? Let me breathe. He's very efficient. He's very efficient. That was a clean game. Especially this. Holy cow. 94. Take me. Just take me. And you know what? We've lost a game in this speedrun already. And to be quite honest with you, it was 1,000 points ago. 1,000. So we didn't even just lose our first game. First blood has been drawn a long time ago, boys. Trust me, we're fine. Oh, we've been bleeding for a while. We lost to a 1,000 in the speedrun. It really happened. Queen a1, knight d6, and then queen takes a1. But this was this was very convincing. Knight d2, okay, not the best move, but after we won the pawns, I mean, here I was thinking, you know, we're doing great here. But after bishop d6, c3, best move in the position, crushed. Knight e4 probably should be played first. Okay, he took this. I didn't see it coming. Knight e4. And it's like, there's not much I can do here other than lose a piece. Queen takes, we take here. And we just lose, right? We're gonna be down queen for a rook, plus the queen is invading. It's just dead, completely over. Takes, takes, king f7, check, right? Rook here, and of course, my goodness, I'd be dreaming, just dreaming of a draw. He gets me excited, and then goes rook d1. What a savage. What an absolute savage. I mean, what am I supposed to do? Crushed. And then he plays the move bishop to h6. Bishop f6. Hey, it looked kind of reasonable to me, but he was able to find a lot of good moves, but not this one. Now he played bishop h6 for nobody knows what reason. Bishop h6 was played here randomly. Then rook f4. And then here. And then rook f1. Which leads to me, definitely. So, I mean, hey, from one Canadian to another, I'll shake you by the hand, sir. I got absolutely annihilated. So much so, I think it deserves a KO. Ugh. But no, it's going to be someone from our stream. Which means, because you guys aren't very good, you're not going to give me enough points for 2,000. Only enough points for 1999. 1999. Gonna try to just trade these light square bishops. Okay, well, we got rid of the light square bishops. That's kind of an achievement, I would say, in this opening. Small achievement. But still, an achievement. All right, perhaps knight f5 is on the cards. I'm gonna try to keep my knight there. I like it at least. I'm looking at knight a5 and queen b3 after the move a3. They just look, they look more tempting. Yeah, knight a5, queen a6 even. A lot of moves look tempting. I'm gonna go queen b3. Rook c8, bishop e7. I mean, those are certainly my next couple moves. Now I'll step back. I just like being, I like pinning the rook to the queen. Feels good. Rook c8 next. We'll step back after a4. e5, we'll put our knight here. a5, we'll put our queen back. I know we're moving the queen a lot. Got a nice square for our knight here. And in the end, our knights both kind of reach those usual squares in the French. c4 and f5. Take, maybe even here. I think I'll take. Interestingly, I guess there are multiple ways to take. Bishop takes just seems normal and good. Like, if the obvious move isn't a bad move, then may as well keep doing it. Take that. A6. That's a threat. King d7 or knight c4 look good. Do this. Block rook c8. And takes, I think queen takes, so we also hit the pawn. This looks nice. The only part of my position that I sort of regret or don't want there is this. If that could be on h6, we would be in the ideal spot. Wow. Wow. This doesn't look like it does anything. Okay. Castle. I was thinking about king d7 to try to play rook c8, but that seems like a little bit too much. Again, if that pawn was here, position would be brilliant. But white still has some chances because that pawn is a little bit too far up the board, let's put it that way. Too far up the board. Still covering c7 as well. Now g6. And now we're fairly, yeah, everything's covered essentially. How do we get the pieces and squares they need to be on? Here? His bishop is useless, basically. Like, it doesn't help the position. Can't take it because of that. GG. Lost moose. And we're at 1999. Man, I tell you, these subs of ours, they have a very weak dividend. Very weak dividend yield. All right, we got our buddy Sleazy. And we know what we're playing. back to the French. The old do-si-do by Sleazy. Hey, Verbassan. Probably a bit later. Yeah. Probably a bit later. All right. Knight d2 to Rash. c5 the main line. We know it's going to be a tough game because he's a chessbrah. Always tough games. Even bishop here makes sense. I don't think you're supposed to do this before castling, but I mean, it doesn't make a big difference, but I think it's good to trade the pieces. From my perspective, that is. Knight takes, we have to be wary, but a6 for this idea is pretty much in the wheelhouse anyway, so it won't be a surprise to see the move a6. Okay, queen takes. Similarly, I think we pretty much, yeah, I mean, you pretty much have to take these spots. We could go a6, yeah. Bishop d7 also makes a lot of sense. I'll go here just because maybe it maintains a few more pieces on the board. Whose majority is better? Well, in the end game, it's usually thought that the queenside majority is better. Also, the smaller majority is usually better in general. Like 2 against 1 versus like 4 against 3. The 2 against 1 is better, let's say, just because it's easier to make a pass pawn. It's less moves. 1, 2, 3, and you have a pass pawn. For me, it's like I can't just motor my pawns up the board to make a pass pawn with no regard for my position. Plus, that takes more time. But that's why you always hear about queenside majority in the endgame. Normally speaking, the kings end up in the center or the king side. So having a majority on the queen side will decoy or distract your opponent's pieces to the other side of the board, away from the action, and then you sort of play on the king side while that's happening. But yeah, I would say white's majority is probably better here, objectively. Let's go bishop here, hit that. a5, I mean, I have rook here, can try to bother the pawns. Might be a little overextended. Could be a good move, but I don't really mind these pawns for the moment. So I'm going to start with an annoying looking move because he can't even play f3. So this move actually forces him to put a rook on f1, which doesn't look right. So that's already a small victory for me. And then after that, I like the move a5. Fixing that pawn is a weakness. My knight drops back to c5. If I played knight c5 immediately, I guess pawn a5 kind of kept him safe. So I like this. I like dropping the knight back, and I'm expecting to win some material. Question is which way to take it, with the bishop or with the knight. I'm leaning towards the knight. F5, I do have E5 at the moment. I think this knight needs to rejoin the action. Wouldn't be surprised to see him play a rook to the E file. Seems to make a bit more sense rather than playing F5 immediately. Rook E1, nice move. So, F5 is coming. Not the end of the world, but it does need a reaction. I'm gonna castle this way. Somehow it seems safer. F5 takes, bishop takes, seems to lose, so we are gonna take. It does have to be knight takes. He's got a decent bishop here. That seems very helpful for me though. Playing g6 like that. Free tempo on the rook. I'll say thank you very much. And now, exactly. Which majority is better? The one that is a majority. Rook a7 holds the f7 square together pretty decently here. Okay, so rook a1 is now very desirable. Knight here doesn't quite work. Knight here can't be taken. I think we go knight b3. Can't be taken because of mate. That move's no good, so it's gotta be that. And then we didn't really get past this, but maybe this. Rook f2, I'll throw knight c4 in. Okay, he's leaving that rook there. Let's go for check. Mini survival. Yeah, nice defense there, Sleazy. I was convinced I had something a little better with knight b3. Maybe I should have just kept it simple. Rook a2 was the right idea. And look at what the engine plays. The engine goes knight here. Wasn't familiar with your game. My fault. Yeah, just takes and rook takes c2 and okay, the king's cut off and all these pawns are dead. Jeez, Sleazy, nice game. It goes without saying that in the opening, knight takes d4 is, you know, much better. Much better. But I think you probably know that. And then yeah, bishop b3. I thought that after knight e4 that I was doing well. Yeah. And here I think white probably has to play really active. Like c3 was a little lazy, maybe f4, f5 straight away before I have time to do what I did. Because yeah, then black's just better here. Yeah, knight takes d4 is always gonna be, I mean, anytime you play this opening, if black goes to the endgame, they're pretty happy. I mean, knight takes d4, I have to play a6. I assume you long castle. You know, knight here, for example, and then you're already making big time threats like queen g5. This staring at me, that's staring at me, that's staring at me. So, I have to just be accurate is what I mean. And I think you already have a nice edge, like queen c7. Who knows if queen g5 is playable there as well. So, here, maybe knight e7, and I have to castle that way, but then my knight's on e7. So anyway, obviously much better to have knight d4. Anyhow, GG. Dale's Floss, thanks for gifting a sub to Verbasan. All right, looks like it's gonna be French. Ah, you know, we haven't got, I wanna say we haven't got this at all. This looks like it's gonna be the, it's the French, but white's setup is the King's Indian attack. So very likely white's gonna go like this in castle. I have a couple setups that I like here. Yasser, when he was here, he recommended a setup with knight here, or sorry, g6 here, knight e7, knight c6, b6, bishop b7, sort of like that. I'll show you guys a different one as well. I'll probably also give Yasser's setup a try if we get it. The setup that I'm gonna try to get is gonna be bishop here, not knight f6, but knight e7. So we'll go like this. We'll castle. Notice how they can't play e5. I'll prevent it once more. Once again, not allowing e5. And usually, you know, if the queen goes here, I'll actually play f6 in order to prevent e5. And for the most part, if I see c3, I actually like playing d4 and following it up with e5. Not caring about my bishop. So we'll see how this setup goes. He closes it with c4. That doesn't seem good for him. Open up my bishop. Also, it's tough for him to play f4 because, I mean, the rook's not there, the bishop's not hitting that square. There's a lot of reasons why in this position I just don't even see that as a, I don't even see it as a threat, basically. So, one thing that I like to do in these positions is get a pawn to g5. I know it sounds crazy, but once I get a pawn here, if I can prevent f4, I'm seeing white's position as nearly hopeless in terms of a plan. Because, look, he's not playing b4. I'm going to get b5. f4 seems like white's only plan. So I often look at these positions and think, man, if I just got pawn to g5, I would be like completely winning. So I'll try it. Trying to play g5 next. If knight h4, we'll still play g5. I'll play f6 to solidify everything. I'll play knight g6 again. Knight g6, f6, and just try to be like rock solid there. f6. My king will jump up to g7 if knight g4. Very solid structure. There's no way he should be able to play that move. And okay, he goes for this, so he's looking to put a knight on f5. But his knight on h2 doesn't make a lot of sense, so he's going to be rerouting. I'm fine with that. I think probably king here to start. Always want to be able to use the h-file, especially if a move like that happens. We'll play knight here. And if he takes, I mean, I'm happy to use the h-file. I don't think he's going to do that. I think he's going to have to play h5. And our knight's going to go right in there. And guess what? Queenside is waiting for me. Rook b8, a6, b5, bishop b6. I'll be able to put some pressure over there. I'm also hitting this pawn, so he can't really go knight back just yet. How do we want to play after this? I would say most likely like that. Nice square here. And the reason I like this pawn is I no longer have to deal with knights jumping into my squares because they just can't get there, plain and simple. So he's going here, but again, I don't see him being able to play this move. It's just not possible. Some really bad pieces over there. I know it's a closed position, but I think we're doing well here. Also, while I could go knight here, I think he wants to trade. Remember, if I go knight here, I'm not trading for that knight. I'm playing knight here and I'm trading for that knight. Once you say it like that, suddenly it doesn't make much sense. Why would I do that? Thinking rook here. Also just b5, plain and simple. Yeah, I'm thinking actually b5. I'm gonna play a6 just to have the option to take with the pawn, but it's quite possible b5 is a decent move. Let's bring the rook over. One thing that's nice is if this knight comes here, I can play queen d7 to hit the pawn. We've got him playing f3. That's great for us. Why is that so great? Because now I can play knight e5 and there's no way he can trade, right? There's no way he can trade pieces with me. So I love to see that. Exactly what we want. All right, so we're going to be initiating some reroutes. Our bishop is going to find a home somewhere in that position, I hope. If the game opens up, it can only benefit me. So we definitely want things open. I mean, he's pinned to that rook here. I'm not liking this for him, I have to say. Just go here. Again, I want to see things open up. This is aimed at the king as well, which is going to be really devastating, right? Because I'm thinking of taking here and opening that up. So I'm going to start by taking this one. I think it's probably trickier. But I'll be very surprised if he can survive this. The knight's not doing anything. I don't know. Every piece looks like it's essentially not doing something. A rook will swing in probably to c2 next. Hard to say no to that. Every piece is like trapped, terrible. But it all started with g5 over here on the other side of the board, just to kill that whole plan. Rook takes here is a threat. Queen to c3 is a threat. Rook c1, also an idea. I think bringing this in might be the easiest. Also rook a2. But like, see how the knight is quite literally trapped? I mean, it's in such a rough spot. This knight on h2 is a complete non-participant in the entire game here. So very dominant game, but I attribute that more to my setup here than anything else. Most people in chess, correct me if I'm wrong, because you guys can share your opinion as well, but I think most people in chess see this position and almost optically prefer white. There's just like this weird bias to the plan of pawn to f4. This weird like gravitational pull to doing this and this, and the idea of attacking on the king's side. Now, not every position that looks like this is going to be preferred by white. This one is particularly good for black, but we all have this feeling that, you know, these king's Indian positions, you just move the knight, play f4, f5, and just mate, you know, like some fantasy land. Just checkmate very easily. So what I was saying, what's the evaluation? It's like minus 1.5, 1.6. So it's a pretty serious evaluation. Not even close to equal. There are a few things here. First of all, the rook moved. The rook needs to support that. Second of all, there's a knight in the way. And this knight needs to move. So there's like 1, 2, 3 moves that need to happen before this is even playable. So I have 3 tempi that I'm also going to be ahead. And I think what I went for, although it might not be the, you know, absolute best variation, I always like it. Just put a stop to this once and for all. f6, king g7, knight g6. Take like the 3 moves that white needs to even make this possible. Use them to go 1, 2, and 3 to make this impossible. And then just focus over here. And of course you're going to break through. I mean, you have more space. Pieces are going to be better. So this is one setup to try and go for against this king's Indian attack. I like it. Bishop d6, knight c6, knight e7. Queen c7, never let them play e5. For example, if white played queen e2 here threatening e5, I would play this as part of my setup. f6. I would not let that happen under any circumstances. And after this, I would play this again. And my next move would be e5 and bishop e6. And with my pawn on f6, you know, I might be thinking of g5. Knight g6, king g7, bishop here, and again, you guys have seen this plan before. Highly effective. All right, let's continue. But yeah, this against the French, you'll probably see the King's Indian attack a lot. So we'll look at a few different setups you can use against it. I like this one. You want no music? Oh, you must be on the wrong channel, my friend. All right, we're playing a titled player. Uh-oh. Oh, this is interesting. You don't see Queen E2 too often, but it plays against D5 in that you can't play, you can't play D5 because queen takes. I'm gonna play E5. We'll see what setup he wants to go for. But essentially, we're playing an E4, E5 position, but he's got a queen on E2. I look at that queen on E2, and I'm not necessarily sure that's a good thing. I think it might be misplaced. Trying to think of the setup that we want to go for here. There's one with bishop g7, like this. There's the idea of just going quickly with d5. That's an option. I think we'll maybe go for a fianchetto setup. Seems nice and chill. Okay, h4. I mean, we don't really want to allow that, but the other thing is I haven't committed knight e7. So I find that move to be a little weird because I can just play knight f6. If I had played knight here already, I understand that move, but the way it's happened, this still seems very fine for me. Yeah, like that. That move doesn't really doesn't make a strong impression. I think it might be d5 time here. I mean, it's kind of hard not to play bishop there. Looks like a normal square. Interesting. Interesting. I'm trying not to do anything too outlandish here, but choosing a pretty basic setup here. King h2 again is so strange. You could also take and go queen d3. Which is kind of attractive. Kind of. I think we can try for the bishop pair here. I guess I was a little bit surprised to see that. I thought maybe rook e1 made more sense. Knight e1, I mean, it can be played, but it's obviously not a great move. So what's the good move here? What do we do? Should be desirable. Whoa.
Another surprising move. I think that's going to be a capture. I say it's surprising as well because I think I can take this. I also think I can play e4. Another decent move. But what's wrong with this? Knight d4? Maybe we like e4 more? Hard to tell. Both options look all right. Take, try to plant the rooks down on e2 and d2. Thanks very much, Joe, for the resub. Tier 3 from Joe010. Bishop g4, just h5. 63 months from Joe. Welcome back, bud. As tempting as it is to take that pawn, it's also nice to take this, go c5 and bishop d4, and just put permanent pressure on f2. Try to make it difficult for him. Like, I want to tie his pieces down. That's desirable. So let's start by taking this. I think we can get away with taking this. It goes here. Trying to think, do we just go for the end game, you know? But decided to hold off for now. Maybe this? Can try to gain some time. Bishop d4 is nice. Because basically once I get my bishop here, I know I'm good. I know we're good once we do that. He decides to take. We want to keep his pawns on dark squares here, by the way. I would say this should be winning. Actually, maybe don't take. Just bishop e1. Solid. Solid. I mean, we're up too many pawns. It seems like, you know, we should be able to do something. It's the correct color as well, so I would wager that this might be a good chance. Put the bishop away, so it's not really like ruining any like checkmate sometimes they turn into stalemates when you have a bishop randomly there, so. There we go. I don't want the bishop to be a part of anything I was doing there. That was a queen and king job. The only place you need more chefs in the kitchen is with Green Chef, not on the chessboard. GG. Plenty of time to spare, that's right. We had a whole 0.5 seconds to spare. Thanks again, Joe, for the big resub. Tier 3, Don Bon 199 with Prime. Thank you, Don Bon. All right. We're probably not going to see this move very often, I have to say. D5 is still playable. I like E5 usually. It's not like the best move, but it's just it's a fun way to play. But okay, I decided to go for this. I think H4 was a pretty bad move. I think black is doing well here, but just because you're doing well in these positions doesn't really mean anything in the long run. He went bishop g5. H6 would have been a tempting option to stop that. So hindsight, I kind of wish I did that. H6 now, yeah. But even though I liked my position, hey, he's a title player. Like he's not gonna roll over and lose material. I was fortunate to see knight d5 because you know what? In this position, I think bishop h3, and I'm enjoying white's chances. You know, knight d5. I think there's some good stuff there. So I thought knight d5 was particularly friendly, and I could even just take it, but I said go for e4. Wasn't really sure what's happening here. So honestly, not a very convincing game by me. Played an interesting move. I think I got an opening advantage. Simple enough, but I don't think I think he missed an opportunity to play bishop h3, and I think the end game was converted in a way which helped me out a lot. So he didn't put up a lot of resistance, is what I mean. So I think he played really well, but he handed me advantages and let me play off it really easily. All right, we're gonna continue. Going for the French. I wonder if we'll see, I mean, we've been seeing all sorts of d3, queen e2. What happened to the main lines? You know? All right, we've seen the win hour before. Pawn takes we've handled a few times. Of course, e5 is the main line. We have not seen knight e2. And to be honest, I mean, this is probably the move that I know the absolute least about. Like, played against it a few times in like, I think I've played it a few times in tournament games, but really not too many. I'll just go for knight c6. Usually when I see this, my first instinct is, no, I don't want to take, because it just replaces it. I also don't really want to take here. I know it looks like a free pawn, but eventually white usually is able to get it back, and and just have a nice position. So f6. When the knight's not on f3, of course, we have to kind of assault the center here. We're gonna have much less space than our opponent, but we might be able to, maybe takes. We might be able to open things up quickly. That's the idea. So knight takes is fine, but I'm gonna go queen takes with the idea knight here to put more pressure on that, and the queen will be ready to attack f2 after I castle. So go Eric. We're everywhere, guys. We're representing across the map right now. gonna keep my bishop and castle. And this knight to f5 will make a lot of sense because it'll hit the bishop, it'll hit the pawn. This bishop also puts pressure there. And again, I don't like the idea of taking because it's like, I'm not trading for the knight on c3. At that point, I'm trading my bishop here for the knight there. That doesn't seem like a fair trade to me. Knight f4, I would chalk that move up to ambitious. And the reason I say that is I don't think he needs to be thinking aggressively. Like, I get he's trying to get that bishop out, but I'm looking at knight here. I'm seeing a lot of attacks. I'm not seeing a lot of defense. I'll play it. And of course, short castle we want to do. Bishop d7, short castle. Even long castle could be played. Kind of depends what he does or how the next moves go. I'm thinking about it, but short castle's the preference. Knight here, I think we just step back. Now we're eyeballing the knight, which could be nice as well. Hello, Alec. What's up, buddy? Welcome, welcome. First time catching a stream is always a reminder, you know? We gotta remind people on Twitch, hey, we got an active YouTube channel. We release a lot of content there. Check it out. And we also gotta remind the people on YouTube, hey, people watching on YouTube, we got an active Twitch channel. That's where this stuff gets seen first. Twitch.tv/chessbrah. We got to get more cross-pollination. I'm really looking at this move. Followed by d4. Something like that. Really doesn't look bad. Give it a go. e5. Well, Irish Rob, my account, if you look at the profile of my account here, it literally says that I'm speedrunning, so it's not really a secret. But yes, of course, we hate snipers. Are the points returning back to the people that get beaten? Yes, it also says that in the profile. So everyone gets their points back. My opponent's also thinking a lot. So when I think about whether I want to make a decision like this, which makes the game really tactical, it looks like it works for me, but it also might get messy. I look at the time and I'm thinking like he's taking a lot of time per move. He's lower on time than me. I'm definitely going to do that. And this was the move I was thinking of. So if queen takes, he has an idea to play like this and trap this bishop. The reason why I think it's still good for me is, let's not forget, I'm still hitting this d pawn. So Knight d5 is a sweet move. I'm gonna take. We'll see what he comes up with. c4. Now we gotta save this queen. Again, f7 to me looks like the best square. I'm just gonna think if there's any reason why I want my queen anywhere else. That looks pretty damn good. Okay, did not expect him to do that one. Interesting. Knight d4, I mean, what else, right? What else? I think we're gonna end up at least up a couple pawns. Like, if here, after c5, we can take there, so we are gonna be up some material. So I think we start with this. Then we want to take that. Probably this way. This is, of course, the one trick we need to be careful of. Not quite, my friend. Got him with the old knight capture. Didn't expect that one, I guess. Funny, he comes up with these like really quick moves sometimes, but they're usually blunders. Of course, we gotta look for better. Checkmate him with the knight where possible. Just trying to do my part. Trying to do my part, locate the KOs. Can't be checkmating with a queen when there's knight mates available. Okay, so I would say already I love my position. I think we have a very good start here. Yeah, I think this was mostly a pretty solid game here. Yeah, that was a huge mistake, of course. But yeah, key points about this variation, I would avoid taking because it's just going to be replaced by another knight. And that goes for any opening where the knights are like that. And I generally would avoid taking here. It's playable. The line kind of go, I mean, there's a bunch of lines, but the lines kind of go like this. And then it's like, to hang on to this pawn, you have to play these ridiculous moves. F5, knight here. White just says, okay, I'll sack it. And then suddenly you're back against the wall. White's long castling. Two bishops. Your dark squares are so weak here. I don't like the position. So I really recommend staying away from these two things. And yeah, trying to break the center with f6. We've had some reasonably quick games here. We're going to stick with the French. We're still seeing the exchange, though. That's one thing that doesn't go away. Okay, let's go for this knight c6 and knight e7 variation. I might have played bishop g4, but hey, it wasn't possible, so easy decision. Bishop f5. He probably has to contemplate bishop takes h3. You know, at least got to think about it here. This move, and pretty much every single time, my answer is just f6. Now, again, tempting, but bishop here, even if I get this, problem is I have no other pieces that can join the attack, so I don't really like that. If I take here now and go knight f5, I was thinking about that. I was considering that here, and then we would take it, for example. It might work. It also might be quite messy, but I don't know. I kind of like I like the vibe of that. Because we can castle as well. Bishop here. And then we might be facing some trades where I don't know if I'm launching an attack so perfectly. So let's take. Check, we'll happily step aside. Or actually, I can even play knight e7. Knight e7 looks fairly good here. Yeah, I really don't mind that, actually. Quite risky. Quite risky. This looks like a castle. Definitely this way with h5 looming. I don't know how he's not concerned about h5 here. I would be like, you know, h5 looks extremely devastating. Okay, well, I'm gonna take this. I'll probably go knight here. Wow. Unfortunately, that's not quite mate. Knight here drops this, and I'm not sure we're delivering any checkmates. Fortunately. It's helpful to get my king out of the way as well. So king b8 might be a nice move. Here's the thing. I can play knight takes, queen takes, takes, rook here, and definitely win a pawn, and definitely be better in an endgame. Is that enough? Is that enough? Because it almost feels like we should have more here. But that's pretty good. It's hard to say no to that, really. c6 and rook takes, all these kind of moves. King d7 to take control of the e file. So probably this. And then maybe think about playing g5. Yeah, g5 is a very nice move next. Makes sense. Knight coming to d3, I guess. Or maybe even e3. Let's see what he wants to do. He can bring the knight back, but I think we're happy with that. Okay, knight d3. I don't think he's going anywhere too dangerous next. c6 would always be a useful move, but I don't really need it just a second. I'm more focused on getting g4 check in. And I can play g4 right now. So, okay, well. takes. Rook h3 seems to work. Okay, check. King g5. Try to connect these pawns here with f5. There's no f3, there's no f4. I want to kind of just throw that pawn down the board, basically. Yeah, so he's going to start doing something. Makes sense. Makes sense. Yeah, f4 looks like the follow-up move. This looks useful. Let's stop the knight from going there. I think we can take this now. So yeah, king c3 was probably not the best move there. He's gonna lose this pawn with check as well. GG. Not bad. This setup against the French exchange is definitely working for us. You know, to just go for long castle. Yeah, I think we just have a big edge here. What to say? I mean, that's just a free pawn. I didn't have to go for that. I think, you know, the more attacking natured people in the chat might play king b8 to get out of the check. I don't know, might play... I was trying to double the rooks, but it's not really a way to do that. Bishop h2 is a funny move, you know, to go here. That kind of works. But yeah, something like that. But okay, the way that I did it, when a clean pawn, that's always got to be good. Nice, we got a game with the black pieces. I've been playing e6 against everything. If it's e4, obviously I'm walking into the French a lot of the time. If it's d4, we get Queen's Gambit decline, Carlsbad structures. But he's transposed back into the French, so we got a French on our hands. And I haven't seen the advanced in a long time. Not since the wee hours of the 1000s and the 900s. All right. These are the moves we usually go for. I'll do this. Bishop d7 is also not a bad move. And a3. Fun. We have a new variation has entered the building. Okay, we haven't seen this one before. White's idea is clear. Play b4. Right? And they're not developing their bishop to this square, for example, and potentially giving up that pawn. So a3 has been played. I'm still looking at bishop d7, but now I have to really decide where I want to put my pieces. So I think I'm going to start with bishop d7. We'll probably see this. I'll take. And I think I'm going to get knight h6 in there. Thinking about this, and I'm offering my opponent a very juicy trade. Bishop takes h6. I mean, how are you going to say no to that? Knight here. I'm looking at knight f5 to start things off. I think I'll probably do that. Usually white plays knight a4, and he has done. This queen needs to retreat. All right, so what have we got here? What's happening? White wants to play bishop d3 next, I'm guessing. Still the knight on a4. I mean, it wants to jump in to c5. That looks like a very normal move. I'm looking at f6, which is probably the most natural. I have to at least challenge the center. At least pretend to. Not sure how reliable that is, but we'll give it a go. Okay, pawn here. Knight h6 hits the pawn, but after takes, there is g5 to fork me. Otherwise, knight e7, pawn takes. So, I'm thinking of this, and then going to g6 after. But I like that this makes a threat. Here, pawn takes, maybe even take with the pawn. That looks frisky and fun. Also, knight takes g4, takes, rook g1. I mean, I don't know what's happening there. Could be an interesting line as well, but I'm planning to play g takes f6. Yeah, my opponent didn't choose to double my pawns there, which is, I mean, extremely tempting, but that way. Normally people would take that opportunity. h3. I want to say knight f7 here seems desirable. Let's go here. Put more pressure on that guy. If b5, I think we always put our knight on a5. And if knight c5, I think I'll be taking that at the moment. It helps me castle as well. So I wouldn't mind seeing this. That move makes the most sense to me. I think it might be time to take here, at least once. I'm looking at g6 and bishop g7. Gotta put a little more pressure on e5. I'll always be able to defend it, you know. Queen here, rook e1. But we can still add the pressure. Sometimes you attack something not because you're actually threatening it or you're even planning on taking it, but you just want to tie a piece down to the defense. So me adding pressure here, okay, it just ties some pieces down to the defense. I also like this knight on f7. It feels really multi-purpose. I like it. It's doing stuff. It's doing stuff. My opponent's knight is very likely going to show up on my doorstep here on c5. I have to be prepared for that. So I am thinking about the move b6 against that. No knight c5 for you. And if you want to play b5 again, I'm okay with knight here. Castling is probably going to be my next move. Is this a playlist? At the moment, I'm just playing some sets. Melodic, house set. That's the usual music genre around here. Electronic, techno, lounge, deep house, this kind of stuff. Okay, so he does play this. Thinking of those two those two squares. The thing is, once the knight goes to e7, I'm trying to imagine where it goes next, and it's a little difficult. So for that reason, I'm going to put it on a5. Knight b7 and knight c5 is not the craziest reroute you've ever seen. Ooh, knight takes d5, eh? Some ideas there. Let's get castled. For now, I don't think it works because the bishop hangs, but we'll be on the lookout for that. Now it might be coming true. Knight b3, knight c5, I kind of like. I just think the knight is decent there, but really what I want is I want it on c4. So let's go here. So I want to take care of this annoying, pesky knight takes d5 kind of trick. I love the rook on the f file, so it is with great and deep regret that I play this move, trust me. But rook there and knight c4 I was liking. All right, where's this knight headed? In there? Let's bring the rook, first of all. Also, knight c4 is going to threaten the pawn. So, I like that. I'm hitting the bishop. I'm also hitting the pawn. Another nice move for me might be knight g5. Okay, I feel like things keep getting offered. I'm going to keep accepting them, at least for now. I would love to get that light squared bishop, so. You may capture, but I've got these two pawns over here. Defend that. Bishop b5 next, and I'm also defending the a pawn, which is key. I figure if he goes queen a2, then I'll play b5. Well, at this point, I think it's turning into a flag situation. Could have maybe taken that one. That would have been nice. Hey, let's eliminate the danger. If I take that off the board, what's the worst that can happen, right? And now we'll just get some pre-moves in. If you can check your opponent, I highly recommend it in any pre-move situation. I could sit there and keep explaining things, but at some point you just kind of have to switch your brain off and make the first move that you see. So otherwise you're probably going to lose the game. But we had a nice advantage here. We kept collecting pawns on the queen side. I thoroughly enjoyed this game. Not only did I think he played well and had an opening advantage, but I think he showcased finally a different line and a good one. A3 in the French advanced. Most of the players we've seen so far just play bishop d3, blunder their pawn, and don't know what to do next. Or they take or play bishop e3 and just blunder the whole pawn chain. So I thought he played very well, chose a good line. Started off well for him, but then I think here h3 was the wrong move. And from this moment, I think black at least had a good grip on the position. So yeah, now my advantage I think was just getting higher and higher. You made it to the end of another video on the French defense. I hope you learned something. Leave a comment down below. What did you think was the most important thing to remember from this video? Subscribe if you haven't already, and a reminder to click that bell to turn on post notifications so you don't miss our next video.